Tonight, I did not schedule a guest speaker because with all the weather, I didn't know if we would be able to have Bible study tonight. I didn't know what the roads or the parking lot would be like. So I didn't want to schedule somebody and then have to cancel. But it is a good opportunity tonight for us to think about what we've heard from our guests so far, to ponder the helpful things that they taught us, the lessons they learned that they've helped us learn, so we can keep processing the presentations that we've gotten to enjoy. And if you missed a week, then we'll review those and really kind of take the next step. We heard a lot of good stuff with the 4 speakers we've had already, and they really presented a lot of helpful information. So tonight we'll start a little bit the next step, which is, so what? What should we then do about it? It's good and helpful to know, but now, so what? How should we respond as followers of Christ who want to not just further Jesus' message, but actually follow in his way and his example? So, we'll review those 4 speakers tonight, and I'll kind of go through a little bit, a quick summary of what they talked about, and then we'll be thinking about, so what next? The first speaker we heard was Abby Nelson. She works with the nonprofit, the local charity Homeward Bound. She talked about the work that they do to prevent and to end homelessness. The Bible verses we heard that week, I meant to write these on the dry erase board. We heard Zechariah chapter 7, Matthew chapter 25, Luke chapter 10, and John chapter 13. And all of our Wednesday Bible study lessons and presentations, as always, are uploaded to the church's YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and look at all the different Bible verses, you can. So Abby shared some helpful numbers and data with us, which I really like. I get into statistics and numbers and data, like real hard facts, like real crunchy, like what's really going on, what are the numbers kind of saying. And a lot of agencies, a lot of nonprofits have a lot of heart and a lot of well-meaning, and they do things that seem like good things to do, but until you crunch the actual numbers, then you're not able to realize, well, what is the most helpful to achieving our goal, to helping this group, and what might not be the most helpful. And I really appreciated that Homeward Bound is looking at the real numbers of what is helpful, what's not helpful. So she told us that they know almost exactly how many people are homeless or without homes in the greater Asheville area and in Buncombe County. She said that some of those folks are indeed unsheltered. They don't have a shelter. They sleep outside, they're in a tent, maybe a camp, maybe they're sleeping in their car. But some of them, even though they are without a home, they are at least temporarily sheltered. So they might sleep in rescue missions from time to time. They might sleep on a friend's couch for a little while. They might go to homeless shelters, that kind of thing. So she did say there was a difference. She also said that the cost of someone who is homeless is twice the cost of someone who is housed, which was really startling to hear. She said the cost for people who are homeless adds up in how many times they go to the emergency room for basic healthcare services. If they get ticketed for vagrancy, there are incarceration costs that then are covered. So that really woke me up. I'm a very frugal kind of person. My wife calls me a cheapskate. I just think I'm fiscally responsible. But when I heard those numbers, and she had the exact numbers, it was $17,000 a year if they're housed, and about $35,000 to $40,000 a year in just kind of total societal cost if they're unhoused. So that's one reason that they work hard to get people housed. It's not as wasteful, it's not as costly, and it's being a better steward of resources. But also it helps that person a whole lot more, which should be the main reason anyway. But when you have limited funds, If you can have more of a bigger, better impact for less money, that's the way to go. And something that either Abby said or one of us said was grace has eternal significance. And so even though there is some cost to housing people, though it's less than the cost of leaving them unhoused, that grace that is shown pays dividends for all eternity. Grace has eternal significance. So she said they have a permanent supportive housing program. I think that's what it was. Permanent supportive housing program, which helps get people into stable housing. And she said it has a 96.5% retention rate, which is great. That means someone who was homeless gets housed and they stay there and they don't go back on the streets or back in shelters. That was really incredible. She also said homelessness is a big issue, but it is tackleable, which was a really good note to hear. Something can be done about it. We can do something about it as individuals, as a church, as a society. It is tackleable. So if you cast your minds back to a few weeks ago, what did you get out of Abby's presentation from Homeward Bound? What stood out to you? What inspired you? What did you hear? Or what moved you in some way?
Well, I knew that they had a place where they could go shower and pick up mail if they needed to. But and we have a couple of neighbors that volunteer there. And I just think that was the thing that really hit me, because I kept thinking, I don't know how you could stand it if you didn't have somewhere to go.
Yeah, I don't know how you would stand it either. And because of that, like, imagine the stamina of a person who is homeless. I couldn't do it. I mean, I just lay down and be done. But they are managing.
And something that I did not know was that they have that sleep room where you can go in and sleep.
Yeah.
Without worrying that somebody's going to attack you.
Yeah.
That was amazing to me.
That was fascinating to hear. It didn't occur to me either, but she said women especially don't feel safe sleeping outside at night, so they often just kind of keep walking or stay awake, stay alert, drink coffee, but then your body has to sleep, so they have a safe sleep room. Yeah. Not something I would have thought of, but I'm glad it's there. Big need, yeah.
They have that converted hotel, I believe, in more of a permanent housing that, and I can't remember the numbers, 70 maybe. But I asked what the if you could wave a magic wand and make more. I mean, it was like 4 times that he could almost immediately fill with that kind of supported housing, where not only do they have a room like an apartment, but medical help, counseling help, and things to help with the issues that may have caused them to be unhoused to begin with.
Yeah. That more robust sense of stability, just having a support system, which we take for granted. We've got friends and family, we've got each other, we've got our church family, but having people check on you if you need something, talk to them, just having like a mailbox. Yeah, I think she said the waiting list, did I write that down? Oh, it was a 3 to 5 year wait, just because they're limited with rooms. But it makes a big difference, 96.5% retention rate. So what? How might we respond? How might a church respond? We all know that in our greater community, there are people who are homeless, and we'll see folks, when you get off the interstate, or, like that one intersection on West Patton Avenue, or down Tunnel Road, You know, we all know the spots, and we've walked through downtown, we know that it's there. But, so what? What are some things that you heard or you thought, or you were kind of inspired that we could take a little next step? And I'm gonna write these down.
Well, I think to continue doing our mission bags
Mhm.
and carry them in our car. I've always had a great appreciation when I might get one out.
Yeah.
They don't know what's in there, but they know it's something for them.
Yeah, and when they open it, they'll see it's all good things. And it was put together intentionally to be helpful. Yeah. And we've got a lot of those homeless kit bags back there. I need to make that, I keep meaning to make that announcement on Sunday morning, we just never come on Sunday morning. So I've got two bags at my office that I plan to say, grab, take these. And I always keep 2 in my car because I give one away and then I forget to restock it. Because I'm forgetful, so I keep 2 in my car.
I also liked how she said that all the units are furnished
Mm-hmm.
and have the basics, and so after Abby was here, I went home and like I had 3 sets of measuring cups, and I was like, I've got extra stuff in my kitchen and towels, and Garrett and I loaded up and we went to the place in Whitman, and they were like, oh, how'd you know about this? I said, Abby, and they're like, she's wonderful. And so it just made me think, most of us have too much stuff, and it's stuff that's not, to us, it's like more stuff to take care of, and there, it's stuff that can be used, and for someone to make a simple meal, or like I have tons of coffee cups. And so I took extra, because, you know, meat mugs are nice to have in a room so that you can make your cup of tea or whatever.
Yeah, that's great. That's a fantastic idea. And I wish we had thought about that like a week ago, because if you're stuck inside for a couple of days and you can't get out because the roads are icy, a great way to spend your time is to go through your kitchen, go through your chest of drawers, go through your closets, and say, will I ever use this? Do I need this? Or is it just in the way? It's just taking up space and somebody else could use it. Especially if you haven't moved in a few years. Moving really forces you to like figure out, I've got way too much junk, I need to get rid of it. And the more time you're not moving, you're just amassing more things. So yeah, go through and give it away. That's great. That's great. Well, I thought at the very least, we can show the love of Christ to people who are homeless. And I was reminded of a story when Abby was speaking. Shortly after the hurricane, maybe it wasn't too cold, so maybe it would have been it was either kind of November or maybe kind of March. We still had the shower trailers, or the one shower trailer out there. And one night, Regina was going to leave and noticed that one of the doors wasn't closed all the way. And so she just went to check on it, and she happened to look in and she saw there was a person, their body was on the floor inside the shower trailer. So she naturally freaked out, as anyone would, and called me and called Lance, who was just up the street. And so we both came, and there was a gentleman who was homeless, and I had seen him walking around. I'd seen him kind of in the community, and I wondered if that was the case. And so we wanted to make sure, are you okay? Is everything fine? Because when you see, a body kind of laying on the floor, you get really concerned. And he was okay. He just needed someplace to lay down and go to sleep inside that was safe and protected. Some of our good folks were there and helped that night. So I said, well, my name's Stuart. What's your name? He said, my name's Matt. And I said, well, what you been up to? Like, I think I've seen you around the past week, but, where'd you come from before that? And he kind of told me a story and kind kind of passing through, as it were. And before he left, because we were concerned he had gotten an injury like a few days before, I think there was like a car accident kind of thing, so we did kind of call it in, just wanting to make sure he got checked by a medical professional. And so the Weaverville police came and took him to Asheville. But before he left, he turned to me and I said, Matt, I hope things go well. I hope you feel better. We'll be praying for you that, good things can happen. You can kind of get back on your feet. And before he left, he looked at me and he said, thank you for treating me like a human being. I mean, how powerful is that? Have you ever said that to somebody? No one else has said that to me. You might say, oh, thanks for taking out the garbage. Thanks for bringing me that thing. Thanks for giving me a ride. But to say, thank you for treating me like a human being, at the very least, we can do that. Because that's what Jesus did to people who were cast out, who weren't allowed in the village, whether by their physical condition, whatever their ethnicity was, they weren't considered pure. He touched them. He spoke to them when no one else would speak to them. He treated everyone as a human being, as a child of God. So at the very least, we can do that. The next week, we heard from Carrie Wells, who is a chaplain with ABCCM, and she works with mental health crises and suicide prevention. The Bible verses we heard that week were from Psalm 34, Matthew 11, and Hebrews 4. If you were there that week, you know that she had a really powerful testimony from her own family's experience with mental health crises and suicide prevention. She also had some numbers to share with us as well, which were quite enlightening. She said that in the U.S., 13 million people a year think about committing suicide. 13 million people a year in the U.S. think about committing suicide. 1.6 million people attempt it every year in the U.S., and 50,000 people die from suicide every year in the U.S. She said that means it's one person every 11 minutes in the U.S. dies from suicide, which is a heavy number to think about. She also said that 1 in 20 of us have a serious mental health condition ongoing, and 1 in 5 of us adults have a mental health event every year, or once a year. Every year, 1 in 5 U.S. adults have a mental health event. And I didn't really know kind of the details of what a mental health event includes or looks like. I'm sure it can look like a lot of different things. She probably covers that when she does the trainings. So I'm not completely sure. I'm sure there's a lot of different ways mental health events can be expressed. I do know that after the stress of the hurricane and the difficulty of my son's car accident that happened at the same time, I definitely had some interesting moments in the months after that. There were a few really weird, hard, odd evenings where the bigness of the challenge really got to me. So it's definitely a real thing. And when Kelly was talking about the chaplaincy work that she does and the trainings that she offers, she said, my faith tells me this is important to do because this is a way to show love. So what does that mean to you when she said that, when she talked about it? What does it mean to you that she said, my faith tells me this is important because this is a way to show love? What does that mean? How is it a way to show love? How is love shown?
Help somebody else when you need it.
helping somebody else.
Even when you need that help.
Even if you're struggling yourself, helping somebody else in their moment of need. Yeah. My faith tells me this is important. What do you make of that?
The passage, faith without works.
Faith without works is dead. It's definitely a way to show love because, you think about the phrase, the bottom of the barrel at the end of your rope. If someone is contemplating suicide, that's the very end to me. That's the very bottom of the barrel. And so for a friend or a neighbor to be aware, to read the signs that she had talked about and just say, hey, how are you doing? Hey, what's been going on with you lately? Tell me about it. To help them kind of come up from that bottom.
I remember just being stunned by the numbers
Mhm.
that she shared.
Mhm.
And I would very much like for us to host a training so that we're better equipped to recognize and respond, and maybe even open it up to other churches, so that we could have a robust Weaverville group that is aware
Mhm.
those signs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought the night that she offered that, I just thought that would be the greatest outreach, that we could really, meet maybe a lot of people by letting them have a pamphlet and come into the session.
Mhm.
I just think it's great.
And I
I think
even,
we should do it.
I agree with Pat, and I even wonder if we should invite, like, local businesses that see people. You
Mhm.
know, I was thinking of the coffee shop,
Mhm.
Wellbred,
Mhm.
and the other one, Yellow Mug,
Mhm.
is that it?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, yellow mug, all good.
Okay, because sometimes that's where people go to have connection, and, it might be something that some of those businesses that have face-to-face contacts with people on a regular basis might
Mhm.
appreciate having an opportunity to learn more.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they mentioned teachers too. I don't know if that's something to think about. The
Yeah.
local, well, maybe not necessarily local, just Buncombe County.
Mhm. I think it'd be really helpful for a teacher who sees a lot of kids to kind of know what to look for and know the signs. Mhm. Yeah, the numbers that she gave, they weren't numbers outside of Weaverville. She didn't say, everybody in Weaverville's fine, nothing to worry about. It's outside, that's where the problem is. It was everyone, all of us. Other things you remember from Kelly's presentation that stood out to you or had an impact? How we can respond now that we've heard that? I like those ideas so far very much.
I remember my aunt Anne, those who've been around for a long time remember her. She would pray constantly for discernment so that she could see when someone was in need and be able to respond.
That's really a lovely thing to pray. It reminds me, at the very least, what we can do, Kelly said, we are here to see one another. We are called to be in connection. So that's the perfect thing to pray. At the very least, we can pray that prayer. God, help me to see other people.
Johnny and Ann put legs to their prayer.
For sure, for sure. They helped God make those prayers happen. Yeah. We're called to be in connection. That's definitely something a church can do. We are here to see one another. Yeah. Well, the week after that, we had Rebecca Sharp come and talk to us. She runs the La Esperanza ministry to Latino families. The Bible verses we heard that week were from Deuteronomy 10, Ephesians 2, and Hebrews 13. Listening to Rebecca, I was amazed at the hundreds of people that her ministry, their ministry reaches, and in such a wide area, from North Buncombe County all through Madison County into Yancey County. Rebecca said one of the biggest challenges, and this was interesting, for Latino families is just finding affordable housing, because there's rarely good places available, and when they are, they're unaffordable, Rebecca said. Which made me think of things that Abby Nelson talked about from Homeward Bound, that there's not so much a homelessness problem, there is an affordable housing problem. That if people could find housing, then there wouldn't be the homelessness problem. So that impacts lots of people and lots of families. When Rebecca was talking about the ministry work that she does, it was interesting to hear her describe herself as a shy and timid person, because I've known her for a couple of years, and I never would have guessed that, because I've seen her be in charge of groups when she brings her Hispanic families and kids for like the family fun days here during the summer. She's telling them what to do. She's saying, all right, go over here, we're gonna do this, get in line with the food, we're gonna do this. And she's a good take charge person who speaks well, but she said that had to develop. Originally, she was quiet and shy and timid, which she was thankful for, because she said it actually helped her a lot when she was beginning a ministry amongst Latino families, because she was inclined just to sit and listen and not talk very much. She said that was actually the key. That was really important. Just to sit with someone, maybe do something together, make a meal, fix something, and just listen. Just listen to whatever they want to talk about. Maybe you know some of the words, maybe you know a lot of the words or none, but just to be there and to sit. And you can listen to a person and get to know them, even if you don't know all the words they're saying. But she said that's how you make connections, that's how you learn a lot, and that's how you build trust, is just spending time and listening. One of the things Rebecca said she learned by doing that work is she learned a lot about grace, she said, not needing to control everything and have everything be perfect and exactly right and on time. So instead of sweating the small stuff, which I am prone to do, and I think a lot of white folks are prone to doing that, Rebecca said it was a gift to not worry about those little details, but just to recognize and be thankful for the good, simple gifts like sharing dinner together, being with family, spending time with friends, and not letting the stress of details get in the way of appreciating the blessings that are around. So great lessons to learn. We might say, but everything needs to be perfect. Like we have to get all the right amounts of this, and we have to go get this on time and make sure that this is put up. But that's not the right priority to have. The priority is being together. And it is that connection that Kelly talked about. Spending time with people, seeing them, listening to them. That's the priority. And if it doesn't happen exactly on the hour, that happens 25 minutes afterwards, that can be okay. That's not the priority. Well, what else do you remember from Rebecca's presentation that stood out to you where that had an impact? I took a lot of notes. You'll see me taking notes, so I wanted to share the things that stood out to me. Anything else that you heard from her that stood out to you? Or how can we respond? The so what? It was great to learn about things that they do through La Esperanza. So what?
Well, we as a church can be aware of their needs and respond when we can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember her coming several years ago, a couple years ago, and speaking
Mm-hmm.
in Sunday school, in church.
Yeah, yeah.
And, she needed things at that time, and I don't know her needs now, but whatever they are, we should be aware and be able to respond when we can.
Yeah. And I'm sure she would welcome if, the church or one of us reached out and said, hey, anything y'all need these days?
She has some lists.
She did have a list? Okay. Did she
Did
leave?
you
it?
get one?
I didn't get one.
Okay. But she could send it to us.
Yes, you can.
We can continue with things that we have done, like utilizing the fellowship hall, the kitchen. I think we've even provided bus transportation to groups, that sort of thing. Some of the resources that we, certainly have and, are underutilized sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When she was leaving, first, she wanted to see our food pantry and supply closet area and was very inspired by the work in the ministry that goes on back there, because she is trying to start a food pantry ministry out of their offices
And that was some of her list, or those kind of.
to kind of stock up, to start their inventory, yeah. So not just kind of items, but she was kind of learning about layout and good practice and policy. And she did say that they have a women's Zumba class. And I said, oh, where do you meet for the Zumba class? And she said at one of the gyms right up the street. And I said, okay, well, something that this church was doing before I arrived was hosting Zumba classes. And it was just a pandemic that put a stop to that, and the instructor moved on. So I said, that's something we've done, is apparently host Zumba classes. And she said, oh, that might be really helpful, because we do have to pay a lot of money to the gym to use it. So hopefully just being open to, what are some needs that you have? What are some resources that we might have? Oh, we can meet some of those needs. Some of these resources might help. I hope there's a way we can eat some of the food that they sell for fundraisers. They had me at empanadas.
I also wonder, given the immigration situation as it is, if we could be a shelter for people who are scared. I don't know, that seems like, because we have the capacity to do that, it seems to me. And I know that Indianapolis or Minneapolis are not Weaverville, but nonetheless, I'm sure that it would be really easy for immigration services to figure out where the Hispanics are in Western North Carolina. And if they did, I would feel obligated to fill my house with people that I know and love. And I think that, for me, a response, because I still have a relationship with the family that I was matched with before I even met Brad. And so I just think that is a way to show the love of Christ, even if it costs us something.
Well, God forbid following Jesus might cost us something.
Right, exactly.
Mhm. And even if nothing really sad or terrible happens in a big way in our area, the fear is still there.
Absolutely.
That a lot of those families are really feeling these days. And so one of the things that the food pantry volunteers do is have signs in both English and Spanish about what everything is and direction stuff, so that folks who come in, and I can't remember the percentages, but I think over half of the folks who come in to use the food pantry are Latino. And just for them to know, this is a place where you're loved, this is a place that is safe for you. We're just trying to be a little like Jesus and show some Jesus love to whoever comes in. So just for them to kind of come in and feel that, okay, this is a good place. Kind of like with the homeless shelter, you know, having a room just to sleep and just to sit, just for people who are living in tension or fear to come in and go, oh, this is a safe place. I can just sit, I'm welcome. These are Jesus people here. Yeah.
And we can deliver to families. You know, that don't feel comfortable or afraid to come.
That's a good idea. Yeah, we can make deliveries. We can bring supplies. We can bring food, for sure. Yeah. And at the very least, we can try to be a tiny bit like Jesus, who welcomed all people, no matter who they were or where they were from, or if nobody else liked them, if they were a tax collector or a Samaritan woman or someone with leprosy or someone from a different ethnicity. At the very least, we can be a little like Jesus in that regard. And finally, last week we heard from Jonathan McCoy. He is a history teacher at Mars Hill University and a Baptist pastor there in Mars Hill. He helped us recognize how Jesus' ministry was one that indeed invited anybody from any background to be a part of the family of God. Before that, the family of God was considered to be very limited to just the Jewish population, and mostly the males were considered full members of the family of God. But Jesus came to bust down the barrier of separation, as Ephesians 2 says, and invite all people into the family of God. As for the Bible verses mentioned last Wednesday, I don't know if you were listening. I tried to write down each one that Pastor Jonathan listed, and I think I got them all. There was about 14 or 15 scripture passages that he mentioned, but that's pastors for you. They're always throwing out those scripture references left and right. If you want the whole list, in the newsletter last week and on the YouTube video, there's a link to a Bible website. And if you click on the link, because I didn't want to type all the 15 references in like the newsletter. You just click on the link and it'll take you to all the Bible references that were read aloud last week. So Pastor Jonathan pointed out that Jesus' ministry was totally based in love, for God so loved the world, not just God kind of loved some of the world, but so loved the world. So Jesus' ministry demonstrated an inclusion, it demonstrated a diversity of people, and an equity of the people in there. God so loved the world. The inclusion part, Jonathan said, was an intentional effort to invite and welcome all different kinds of people are invited and included into the family of God. The diversity part is recognizing the simple truth that we are all of us different from each other, which was an interesting point to think about. He mentioned that even in our families, we're different from each other. I'm different from my sister. My two boys are different from each other. I'm different from my wife because I'm right about everything. And she... just kidding. But even in family groups, everybody communicates differently. They have different attitudes, different personalities, different needs, different interests, etc. Even in our nuclear families, there is diversity of different kind of people. The equity part is not showing a favoritism or a hierarchy. No one is better and no one is less valued than another person just because they're different or they don't match the profile of everybody else who's hanging out there. So when we keep all those in mind, Pastor Jonathan said, it should encourage us to practice positive actions that focus on what we have in common, that we are all sinners saved by grace who are children of God. And that kind of commonality and equality of God's love, you'll hear me use that kind of language whenever we celebrate the Lord's Supper on Sundays in church. The idea of the heavenly banquet table, where all are invited as equals, and no one has a higher seat or a more important seat at the heavenly banquet. And like Revelation said, Pastor Jonathan quoted, it's a banquet table that includes people from every tribe and nation and language. When I think of that heavenly banquet table, that holy heavenly feast, I like to think of it as a potluck lunch. And you know I love a good church potluck lunch. When we have some, you'll see me eat enough for 2 meals. And then I don't eat dinner because I've already eaten 2 meals because I don't want to miss anything because everyone's brought so many great things. I have to sample all of them, especially the desserts. So I bet I'm not the only one who loves a good church potluck. What makes potlucks so good?
Variety.
Variety. Yes.
Love.
And the love that goes into them. Yes. Every dish made with love. Brought with love.
Yeah.
And it's so different. That's why I have to eat so much, is because there's so many good things. Now, I do love a staple of church potlucks, your fried chicken. I do love some fried chicken. But if you go into a church potluck and the table only has fried chicken, everyone has only brought fried chicken, even though I love it, I would be very disappointed. And I would say, really? You call this a potluck? It's just fried chicken. What if you went to the next church and they said, oh, no, we have lots of different kinds of chicken. We've got baked chicken, we've got grilled chicken, we've got barbecue chicken, we've got chicken nuggets and fried chicken. All the kinds of chicken we have at our table. I guess it's a little better, but still,
It's chicken.
it's chicken. And that's all it is. And that would be a very disappointing potluck. You need some Mary Porter fruit salad. You need a good Andy Bishop chocolate cake. You need some deviled eggs. Yeah, you need a casserole. You need all the things to make a great, good potluck. Apple cake. Good shot.
Love it.
Some macaroni and cheese. Come on.
Yeah.
You gotta have some rolls. You need to have all the stuff. The more different kinds of even crazy stuff, when you get to that potluck table, that's the more excited I get. And even from an evangelism perspective, it is in every church's best interest, if they want to stay open for longer, to be more inclusive and diverse and equitable. Because if you're not, then it reduces your evangelism and your invite footprint to almost zero. Because you're limiting it to only, the welcome is only for those people who are already here and have been vetted and approved. It's just basically these people who are welcome. So if that is a church's mindset, and they're very standoffish to anybody who comes in, what's it gonna look like there as the years go by?
We're all gonna die and it'll be empty.
It'll be totally empty. Yeah, they will succeed. Any church who tries real hard to keep people out, they will always succeed. And they'll exceed so much, no one will be in there in just a few years. Yeah. And it's not just a yes or a no, like, are you welcoming or not welcoming? Are you inviting or not inviting? It's a how much. There's a spectrum, and there's always room for growth. How much are you welcoming of different kinds of people? Is it just a little bit that a place is welcome, or is it a Jesus amount that you are welcome? And I think I've mentioned this before, but at my former church, there were a lot of little country churches kind of out and about in the hills and hollers of Franklin County. And when I would drive around, I knew a lot of the pastors, I knew a lot of the people, because it was a good, close community out there. And I would see it on a lot of those church signs, it'd say like the name, the time for worship, who the pastor was, and it'd say, all are welcome. And I would drive by, and I would go, well, that's not true. Because I know who that pastor is. And I've talked to him. I know some of the members. They're all very nice people to me, but all All are welcome? No, no. I could come up with a good list of the people that are not welcome in that church. And yet it says it on the sign. And so when my former church, we needed to buy a new sign, our old one was kind of falling apart, and we needed just a new one to look good and look nicer. We were deciding, what should we put on it? So we put, the name, the worship time, and pastor name and everything. And someone said, oh, we should put all are welcome. And I said, well, are you sure? I mean, we can, if we mean it. Are you sure? And they thought about it, and they went, yeah, we're sure. Let's put it on. I said, okay, well, good. Let's do it. We'll put it on there, and we'll mean it. But they thought about it first, because I wanted them to think about it. And they decided, yeah, we'll put it on the sign, and we'll mean it. Pastor Jonathan said Jesus was sent to all people, not just some people. So if a person were to follow Jesus, then that person would also show God's love to all people too, to help them know that they are all invited. So any thoughts as we close for how we can respond to what we heard last Wednesday? So what? Each week we've heard good things. So what? Ways that we can respond. I did tell my former church, you think we should put some are welcome on the sign instead? They said, no, don't do that. So what? Any closing so what? As we try to respond to what we heard and learned? Well, be thinking about it, both for yourself and for our church life together. And as we continue hearing about different groups and different ministries and different populations, always be thinking about, well, so what? How can, now that I've heard this, how can I live a little more like Jesus? So that's your challenge this week and every week. If we claim to follow Jesus, to be thinking, how can we live a little more like him? Now go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Amen.